This is the Kick-Ass Geek Cast with your host, Daddy Warpig. I am back. Monday, December 8th, 2014. Quick reminder, you can read me online at the blog, The House of Geekery, daddywarpig.com, daddywarpig.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at daddy_warpig, at daddy_warpig. Those of you who have listened to the show before may have noticed that I have foregone my usual opening shtick because I have so much material to cover today. I don't have time to get it all in. We're just going to have to move very, very fast. The Kick-Ass Geek Cast is broadcast every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As well, you can listen to Geek Gab, the Geekerific Gab Fest, that is broadcast Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 1 hour of all play, no work, just awesome geekery. So let's start with news break. That's right. We have so much news that happened this weekend that I want to try and cover it all very, very quickly. On Friday or Saturday, depending on where you live, Rockstar Games, one of the chief pros, was suspended from Twitter again and promptly came back with an alt. Sunday, the lead singer of Disturbed, David Draymond, came out as a pro, officially announced his support for Gamergate, and promptly was dogpiled by Devi Whatever and other antis and ended up telling them off. Also on Sunday, Brianna Wu announced that she was pulling back from the Gamergate controversy in order to focus on her burgeoning career as a developer, but she was going to hire an assistant to post about Gamergate, an official shit poster working for Brianna Wu. 7th of December, the start of Solution 6 by Rockstar, reporting corruption in the Indie Games Festival to indie developers. These developers who pay money to enter the ethically compromised festival. Following the announcement of the beginning of Solution 6 and the posting of links to the documents, antis mass report Rockstar and get him suspended, and then threaten to report everyone who RT'd or reposted those same links. It is unclear whether they went through on their threats to report basically everyone in the world. However, they reported Rockstar en masse, and Rockstar was again suspended. Monday morning, Rockstar's main account was reinstated and is currently active on Twitter. They also announced, after the failure of Gamers Plus on Friday, the hashtag that was immediately flooded with shit posting, they announced another new hashtag called Stop Gamergate. That's it. No year, no forever, just Stop Gamergate. No word yet on whether that new hashtag has likewise become a sewer of shit posting. Also breaking today, indie developers contacted to inform them they were wasting their money on a corrupt games festival. Again, with documentation from the Polytron hacking incident. A number of indie developers have apparently been contacted, and several of whom have responded with vicious, nasty, vitriolic rhetoric that has been reported on Kotaku in Action. I'm going to read to you an excerpt from one of these letters. I'm sorry to inform you that you are part of a hateful and evil movement that is not welcome here. As the head of this studio, let me be very frank. Fuck Gamergate and its misogynistic culture of fear and intimidation. In more disappointing news for you, please be informed that your movement is impotent and useless when it comes to anything but harassing women. So, indie developers this indie developer specifically, standing firm on the side of corruption and pissing their money away down an open sewer just to spite Gamergate. Pleb Comics, who had a page on Tumblr, was reportedly hacked, doxxed, and censored on Tumblr. It is not clear if initial reports that Tumblr mods were taking down posts reporting the doxing, but leaving up the actual doxing. It is not clear if that is what happened. Also announced today, social justice warriors trying to censor character Lucky Chloe from the upcoming fighter game Tekken. The creator of the game announced that they would be, the developer, Katsuhiro Harada, announced that they would be replacing Lucky Chloe with, for the U.S. region, with a well-muscled skinhead character. However, it is not clear if that post itself was a troll. The movement to get Lucky Chloe removed from Tekken is very real. All right, those are your news shorts for today. So much happened. I don't have time to talk about all of that. I just had to get it in really, really quick at the start of the show. Depending on events, I plan to make this a regular part of the show so that every day we open up with a concise version of all the happenings that have occurred since the last show. So keep an eye out for that. If you need to know what's going on in Gamergate, what's going on, this show will give you concise news right at the top. If you need regular track of what news is going on, again, you can follow my Twitter feed or become part of Kotaku in Action, who regularly posts longer stories and research about events. Both of those are great resources. And yes, I know I'm talking about myself. It's still true. Now, the rest of the show after our news break is going to be news and commentary. There's a few other stories I haven't mentioned in that break because I want to pull them out and focus in on them. Specifically, I want to start the show with Untimely Gamer, who is one of the anti-trolls, posted this earlier today, about 6 hours ago. He is commenting, by the way, on Roguestar's reinstatement. This caused more than a little annoyance among the antis who mass reported Roguestar, falsely mass reported Rogue Star and mass reported Rogue Star in clear violation of Twitter policy, brigading, that is, ganging up en masse to report an individual is against Twitter's terms of service. And yet they did it and got his account pulled. Falsely got his account pulled, and yet their very real acts of violating Twitter terms of service have gone entirely unpunished. It makes me wonder, without having any more specific information, which one of the two things is true. Either one, Twitter has deliberately decided not to suspend any antis no matter what, or two, antis are simply not being reported for harassment, for harassing behavior that violates Twitter's terms of service. I finally ran out of patience and gathered some evidence for myself. I will not encourage you to mass report these trolls because that would be a violation of Twitter terms of service. However, I will also not counsel you against reporting harassers. It is very, very clear, and it is a good and moral and decent thing to report harassers on Twitter. If you're going about saying, no, I do that, I don't do that because I don't want to descend down to their level. Descend down to their level of what? Allowing them to abuse the report system, allowing them to abuse our terms of service they themselves have agreed to. If you observe people breaking Twitter's terms of service, report them. I'm not referring to any specific individuals, and I'm not referring to any specific instances, so this is not a call for mass reporting any individual. It is just my opinion that when you see someone breaking Twitter's terms of service, reporting them is the good thing, the right thing, the moral thing. Failing to report them allows them to get away with abusive behavior with impunity. That is, in my opinion, a mistake. In any case, Untimely Gamer, after Rogue Star returned to Twitter earlier this morning, posted this: Twitter's refusal to self-regulate the hate speech on its platform shows we need government intervention. There needs to be laws. Now, I think, in the back of my mind, I think it's obvious to people why that's offensive. But apparently, there are a number of people who don't understand. So let me see if I can delve into the depths of my razor-sharp mind and come up with reasons why this is such a terrible idea. It is one of the underpinnings of the British common law and Western American and British and the British Commonwealth justice systems, that free speech is a right that ought to be protected. It goes back hundreds of years to ideas that leading British philosophers, empiricists, successfully encoded in the law, the notion that as a human being, you are allowed to speak your mind without fear of being suppressed, without fear of coming under coercion, without fear of being beaten, or having your livelihood taken away. This ties into, as well, the notion of a free press, to where we presume that in a free society with a democratically elected government, whether that government is democratic or whether that government is Republican in form, democracy being direct election of officials, and laws, the Republican form of government being the voters voting for representatives, which representatives make the laws. We assume that a free press will serve as a watchdog on the institutions that have authority over society, and that is a check on those institutions, because at least in the society as it's been constituted since 1649 and the Treaty of Westphalia, I told you I was a former political science major. It is only the state, the government, that has the right to make war and execute citizens. So we as citizens need a check on that authority, on that power. And part of the check of that is free speech rights of citizens to make their voices known on issues, to make their voices known on candidates who are up for election. It is one of the only ways that citizens can successfully hold back, rein in the power of government. It allows them to organize. It allows them to advocate for changes in society. Now, it is a bedrock principle for good reason. If you take away free speech rights and freedom of the press, there is nothing citizens can do to issue a petition for redress of grievances. There is no safety valve. There is no participation for citizens. And everything that happens after that in a society is bad. That is always a bad road, because if people can't talk out their problems, they have to settle those problems in other ways. Now, I'm not threatening anything. For the love of God, would you aunties pull your heads out of your asses? I'm just pointing out that in societies without the freedom of speech and freedom of press, citizens can only make changes in the government by taking direct action. And that is bad for citizens. It is bad for society. It causes rifts and problems that last for generations. It destroys, in many cases, the rule of law. And when the rule of law is destroyed, that ruins society for everyone. It is chaos. And you can say, oh, Daddy Warpig, don't be unfair to the aunties. That's just one person. No, it is not just one person. Allow me to quote from a man in black. The censorship is not an inherent evil. We need to be talking about what kinds of things are okay to censor and why. Full Macintosh endorsed the suppression of Grand Theft Auto, not just Target refusing to stock it, but actually the fact that it was available in society at all was bad and reflected poorly on society, and therefore should be yanked. Banning free speech on Twitter will not stop the pros, those of us that are pro-gaming, pro-gamer, pro-ethics. It will not kill us, but the fact that they want to do this shows that they are would-be dictators, because that is the first act of a dictatorship, is to take away free speech from the citizens. Witness all the dictatorships in the world who try to regulate and control and ban the internet, from Iran to North Korea, on China, on and on and on. They only want their side of the story told, so they try to ban everyone from being able to tell the truth. This is why the block list was created by Randy Harper. And we'll get back to Randy in a few minutes. This is why they have petitioned Twitter to establish new rules to where you are not, if you have been reported, you are not allowed to see the tweets that certain people have posted, because they want to be able to be free to say anything they want without you being able to reply. They want pros silenced. This is why they are fraudulently mass reporting many accounts, because they want to censor. That's it. It's a bad, terrible thing, but it won't kill Gamergate. If they block us off Twitter, we will be forced to go other places. Kotaku in Action or 8chan and other places after that. This is a horrible sign of exactly how opposed to freedom of speech, freedom of artistic expression, that the antis are. This is why our cause matters, because we are fighting for freedom. If they succeed in censoring Twitter, they will push this through every other place they can. They are talking about not companies voluntarily failing to sell a game. They are talking about government intervention and laws. And there are politicians who are friendly to their cause. Just be aware. When people say, oh no, we're innocent, just be aware that this is something they are doing. I will put a link to Untimely Gamer's comment in the description of the video, and I will try to get an archive of A Man in Black and Full Macintosh's comments as well. Randy Harper, who I mentioned just a few minutes ago, made a post to Gamergazi on Reddit saying this, and hold on to your seats because this is really shocking. The doxing is a problem that has to stop. It's gotten bad enough that I rarely check my other folder in Facebook messages, because every time I do, someone that probably means well but is doing a bad thing has sent me another GGer's real name, home address, phone number, and employer. I never respond to these messages. I delete them immediately. That isn't an okay thing. We are better than that. Beg to differ, if only because you have to create a special folder, or have to use a special folder to keep track of all these messages, and have this happen so often that you put it in a post in Gamergazi. So let me reiterate. Randy Harper, the creator of the block list, who herself doxed at least one person I know of, who wrote to the FreeBSD Foundation, and she got a hold of it, has announced that there are so many antis doxing pros, so many antis doxing pros, by sending her personal private information, that she is sick of it, that she has gotten too much of it and can't stand it anymore. Now, I am shocked by the fact that she actually has something that she considers to be too far. I mean, I that's not a slam against her. I'm not trying to insult her. I'm just pointing out that she has done so much just with the block list itself, heaping abuse on the head of Claire Schumann, that all of these events would have led me to assume that there was very little that she would not do just to stop Gamergate. But apparently there is, and the continued constant mass doxing of Gamergaters by giving the information to her. I don't know if this has been published publicly, but giving the information to her is a bridge too far, and she will no longer, or at least she's begging people to stop doing it. The only comments I want to make, I think it's self-evident. It's self-evident. I don't have to sit up here and make a speech about it, because it's self-evident why what these people, antis, are doing is wrong. And the fact that it is so bad that Randy Harper felt the need to come out and announce that they should no longer send them to her, it makes me wonder whose information is being sent to her and who's producing this information, where this vast network of anti-stalkers, anti-doxers is, and what they're planning on doing with all of this information. It is wrong, it's obnoxious, it's offensive, and that so many antis are perfectly cool with it, well, it is disturbing. And I don't mean that in a rhetorical sense. I don't mean that to say that just to sound, oh, big and dramatic, it's disturbing. No. I mean that literally. It bothers me to think that there are people doing these things. These people should be ashamed of themselves. They are so consumed with hate that they will consider doing just about anything to hurt the pros. And that's disturbing. Last story, and I'm running out of time. Crap, I hate this. I hate having so much stuff to do, because this is a great story. I'm going to speed through this just as fast as I possibly can. From December 1st to December 6th, a scientist recorded all the traffic in the Gamergate hashtag. Based on the traffic in the hashtag, they analyzed our communications network. That is, which users were tweeting out, which users were retweeting, who was receiving the information, and so on and so forth. The person's name is Chris von Selfe. I will include a link to the article in. It's very scientific, very mathematical. He's analyzing the network, and from his analysis of the network, deducing patterns of communication. Instead of reading the whole thing, I'm going to read you selected excerpts to let you know what he found. These are excerpts that I posted to Twitter, so they've been edited for the 140 character length. This is the first large campaign for journalistic ethics and ethics in games journalism since social networks have become available. Debate on the Gamergate hashtag, that is debate between people participating in the hashtag, based on his analysis of the network, is relatively egalitarian and follows an even distribution. It is relatively coherent. That is, there's a lot of communication between people rather than consisting of a number of separate and dissimilarly sized cliques who don't interact. In other words, even though there are clusters, everybody talks to everybody else. We have built a network where no one who is participating is excluded. And more importantly, we are not ruled by clicks. It is relatively small and close. It is not an echo chamber. Participants are not drawing information from the same few sources. Now, you know that this is what the Gamergate is because you participate in it. But this is a slap in the face to all of the antis. We have many voices which are heard by a significant number of pros. There are many highly distinct sub-communities indicating a very diverse population. This finding contradicts the much reiterated meme that Gamergate is largely ethnically, socially, and racially homogenous. We are not just a bunch of people who all think the same, and the way we communicate and the way messages are sent and received prove that. The most talked about and listened to participants, that is the heart of the network, comprise 35%. That is, of all the people sending and receiving information, 35% of them are the heart of the network. That means there are only 2 people who either don't send a lot and only receive, or don't receive a lot and only send. We listen to the vast majority of people who are willing to make their voices heard. This heart is relatively large. As a leaderless structure, Gamergate is true to its claims of being decentralized. Instead of a conversation between a small number of users, Gamergate is a large number of people interacting with a large number of others. Their claims of being a decentralized, free, anti-hierarchical organization are conclusively proven by the data. Instead of a few personalities emerging as leaders, being engaged with and engaging others, small community clusters lead the field. The participants are strongly interconnected, but most users seem to be open to contact and interaction with most other users. And here's the key. Here's the key. Here's the key. Here's the key. The results of my network analysis is incompatible with the description of Gamergate as a hate group. For one, a hate group would have a high degree of centrality, very often centered around a charismatic leader. If we were a hate group, we would be controlled by a small clique or controlled by a leader, a charismatic leader figure, and we are not. The network analysis is also incompatible with the assertion that Gamergate is regularly harassing particular personalities, because if that were the case, there would be clearly visible evidence in the form of numerous edges converging on the same handful of targets. In other words, all of the traffic in the hashtag does not single out Sark, Woo, or the other literalies for abuse. In fact, it doesn't single out people for abuse. It's communicating information. Because the high weight edges, the only high weight edges, are almost exclusively populated by leading commentators supportive of Gamergate. Our messages go to those people who are heard, who redistribute those messages to everyone else. We don't harass. Mathematical and analytical proof that as far as Twitter goes, with network traffic in the hashtag, we are not a hate group, we do not harass people, and we do not have a small group of leaders or cliques. We are decentralized, egalitarian, and open to talking to anyone in Gamergate. This is a blockbuster article. I'm including a link to it in the description at the end of the show. You should read it if you get a chance, and if you can, tweet it to people so that they can see the truth. Everything we know to be true, because we participate in this, is true. Everything the antis say about us is false. And we have proof. I'm your host, Daddy Warpig, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm reminding you, please subscribe, RT, send it out on Facebook or wherever if you think this is good information that people need to know. Also, Geek Gab, the Geektacular Gab Fest, no news, all fun, Sunday nights, 7 p.m. The House of Geekery is my geek blog, all fun, no seriousness. DaddyWarpig.com, DaddyWarpig.com. And if you want to stay up with the latest news and happenings in Gamergate, follow my Twitter account at Daddy_Warpig, at Daddy_Warpig. Thanks for tuning in. This is your host, Daddy Warpig, signing off. I will be back.